Greetings, everyone. Hope you all are doing awesome. I like audience participation, so when you see the next series of pictures, belt out maybe the first word that you think about when you see it. This jean jacket, middle school, malls, teenagers. Okay, what about this one?
Burgers.
The movie The Founder.
Okay, The Founder, burgers, legacy, stressed, cold. What'd you say? Gold. Cold. Cold.
No, well, yeah, like cold, like
Got it.
stark.
Busy. It's Walmart.
I don't go to Walmart.
Okay, I think that's interesting. Middle of the night. Interesting people. People of Walmart, the website. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Great marketing.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay. Oh. Hold on. There it is. Oh, yeah. Terrible acting. Sold billions of dollars to movie theaters. So. Yeah. Chewy.com. New. Okay, so you guys have never heard of this. Chewy.com. Okay. Ashbrook, he likes that. Okay. An Ironman race. Pain, difficult, right? Maybe super athlete. What about this?
Stiff.
Stiff, boring. Okay. Security guard. So I said. Okay. What about this one?
Calling the security guard.
Word.
Future in wrestling.
Future in wrestling. Did you recognize that these are the same person, by the way? That's me, and that's me.
No, wait, go back one.
Yes.
That's your father.
No, it's don't. Jeez, don't tell him that. Yes. Okay.
It's your demeanor. Nobody would believe it.
Exactly.
The other one.
So a lot of this people might have known before. A lot of this might be new to some folks, but think about the first time you ever learn of something new. It's a lot about that hit song, summer song by Carly Rae Jepsen a few years ago. Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, now call me maybe. That's what we ultimately want our people to do with our brands. We want those people to call us. Now that conversion, right, might not be a call. It might actually be to pull out their wallet. It might be something else, but that call is ultimately what we want them to do. We want them to like us on social. We want them to come to a meeting like this. And so we have to think about what really is a brand. And no, not Brandy. Remember her from way back when? And no, it's not the alcohol either. Sorry, Kevin. But what is a brand? What do you guys think a brand is? Kevin touched on it a little bit, but what is a brand?
When you say something like Kleenex instead of tissue, or Q-tips instead of cotton swab.
Or Xerox this, right? Yep. A jacuzzi, right? Jacuzzi's the brand, but it's really a hot tub, right? You said the perception, right? Identity. Oh, that was on that side. So my good friend Chris Hill is great at building brands. About 5 years ago, he was trying to copy a bunch of other chef-related content and recognized that none of it was actually resonating because all he was doing was copying the exact same thing as everyone else. What do chefs do online? They cook and they show you the pictures. And he recognized that there was this group of people that are the exact same people that are looking for that content that are missing the boat. And the boat, in his case, is there's a negativity, a stigma around the restaurant environment where people are super negative. And he wanted to create content around that, about fixing that and making restaurants a little bit more positive. And so he says, a brand is simply a set of expectations people have of a product, service, or individual. So now knowing that, when you see these next set of pictures, what words come to mind? New England Patriots. Championships. They always win. Actually, they don't. They don't always win. but we think they do, right?
Are they, you know,
You're going with the cheating thing? Okay, I got it. So you're thinking cheaters. That's fine, right? Again, it's that expectation. So you think that the Patriots are going to win every year. You think the Patriots are going to cheat every year to win. But at the end, they're still winning, right? I'm not a Patriots fan, but I think we have to think about these things, right? And oftentimes we look at big brands and you say, how can we copy exactly what they're doing? I don't think that's a good thing. What I think we should do is dissect what really is working from what they're doing and try to figure out how maybe something like that we could implement ourselves. We're at Smoke Barbecue. What do you think about when you're here? Barbecue? Eating meat? What were you saying? Pork rinds. Michael Phelps, when you think about him, what do you think about that brand? Right now, it might be him in a chair in a, what was it? PG crowd, ladies and gentlemen. PG crowd.
like that, I think is what she was saying.
Right? What do you think? Winner. Phenomenon. Greatest Olympic athlete of all time. Also sometimes in a high back chair in a pool with no water. You guys haven't seen that commercial? Okay. I guess I need a cord. Cut that cord.
My wife.
Your wife. Amazon. It's probably out. I might agree with that one. What do you think about? On demand. One day delivery, fast. Innovative. Disruptive. An anomaly, large. Monopoly. What's interesting is a lot of people call them a retail giant. Do you call them a retail giant? Right? Are they an e-commerce business? Is that what you think? Did you know that their number one moneymaker has nothing to do with e-commerce? It's a data play. Amazon AWS. A lot of the websites that you use are run off of Amazon servers, right? But they've been able to play the game to get in your minds, and they get free marketing all the time. So what I want you guys to think about is 3 specific keywords. And this is where you can take out your phones and take notes if you want. 3 keywords that represent what you do. It could be your brand, your business, yourself, but what do you do? What are the 3 words associated with that? What are the 3 keywords that are associated with that? Every time we see Paul Dockery, he's changed his job, right? So, but have the keywords changed in that? Do you think they have? Or do you representing the same basically type of career every single time, just changing the job? Right? Yeah. So oftentimes people think we have to change the words even if we're moving from career to career, when oftentimes we're just changing the business name, not what we do in that business. And so when people call on Paul, they still know that he is whatever the 3 words are that you're thinking about right now. So if someone was to Google search you and they were to put in 1 keyword about your business, do you create material? Does your website represent that 1 keyword? I know I said 3, but you probably have 1 too, right? That main keyword. What is yours? Comfort, okay? And I should have said this, keyword could also be a key phrase, so it doesn't have to be exactly 1 word. It could be a couple of words.
Mine is growth.
Growth, okay. Kevin, what's yours?
Digital marketing.
Digital marketing, okay. Breakthroughs. Okay, so here's where I think the challenge is that most of us don't think about. We get too cute with a lot of this stuff. We have to think not what we think. We have to think about who our customers are and how they are searching for us. So what I want you guys all to do today is afterwards, go get on your social networks and post a question similar to this. Hey, fans of Zack Miller or the Red Hawk or Kevin Daisy, what do you think I do? And then take those 3 keywords that you just thought about and see if they're even remotely close to what the people respond to on your social feed. An overwhelming majority of you will find that they butt heads. I want you to go on social and think about the 3 words that you think that you do. And then I want you to post a question saying, hey, friends of Susan on LinkedIn, what do you think I do for a living? Right? And then recognize that the overwhelming majority, typically the overwhelming majority of that feedback, of those comments, does not match what you think you do. Which means your brand is not representing what you want it to. Okay?
Everyone sees me as a very creative person. I'm highly creative. That's a gift that I have. However, the industry I'm considering going into has nothing to do with being creative. Right now, I do planning,
Okay.
design, all of that.
Mhm.
But now I'm looking into going into holistic medicine.
Okay?
And so I'm trying to figure out how do I convey that to the audience I have now that I'm switching gears.
Yep. So great question. A lot of people are changing careers that was not one from before. We learned from those things. Years ago, you were in the medical field, right? Now you're not, right? So what do? And I mean this in like the craziest of ways. Climb to the top of the mountain and scream out like a Ricola commercial, this is what I'm doing, and say it early and often, and not delete, but remove all of that old stuff that you talked about. You can still keep it there, but don't ever talk about that stuff again. Tell the world what you do, tell it early, tell it often, and get that engagement going on. So if you were thinking about getting into new career, start telling the world, I'm in that new career. When Eric started Array Digital before they merged, he, without saying a lot of backstory, so Kevin and Eric merged into a company about 2 years ago. 3 years prior to that, one of the co-founders started this other business. When he started, he was in a very similar position to you. Everyone knew him as a software guy who worked for military contracts. He went through his entire inventory, his entire assets of people that he knew. He wrote up a letter and sent it out to every single person and said, hey, I'm Eric Olson. Array Digital is open for business, and this is what we do. If you would like to work with us, here's how you can hire us. Tell the world what you do. You have an inventory of all these people that you've met. You have connections galore. Most of us go, well, I don't really know that person. No. Since the day you were born, you've met someone. Capitalize on those relationships all the time. People are changing careers every 40 months. So it's not that uncommon. You're changing your career on average 12 to 15 times a year, in your lifespan. So it happens, right? So the reason, is that helpful? Okay. So what I think my 3 things are very different than what Red Hawk thinks my 3 things are, right? That Susan thinks are different. And some people actually don't even know what 3 is. Rock on. So you have to think about, what is my customer searching for? This is where you can't get cute, right? What did you say your title is?
Director of growth.
Director of growth, right? Do your customers know what that is?
No.
Right? So is that the correct terminology for that person? Right? A title might be a little different, but
Yeah, I definitely get the way you're going. I'm growing into like tech, whereas I think I'm more internal, but I'm still doing the client-facing side. And you see me do it. That's what I'm
Yeah.
I don't even really sound like I'm set up in the sign. It doesn't really matter. Like when I introduce myself, I
Sure.
typically don't say I'm the anything. I say this is what I can do for you. This is what I'm about.
but think about where we have that title, right? And other people are looking at that going, well, I don't know what that is. You got that person's eyeballs. It's now your job as an individual or representing a brand to make sure that person knows exactly who you are, right? I'm an anomaly. I do weird things. I'm amazing at marketing. I'm an attention getter, right? If you go on LinkedIn right now, you're not going to see that my title says director of marketing at whatever. It says 3 random things because you sit there and go, huh, that's interesting. It's totally on brand. It says I've ridden 157 different roller coasters. I'm training for an Ironman, and I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. People are like, that's really weird. But then you go, oh, well, he wrote a book about standing out, and it doesn't blend in with everyone else. See, the problem is when you start doing what everyone else does, all of it looks the same. But you have to make sure that your 3 keywords are matching what other people are searching for. So there's a bunch of really interesting memes out there. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these. I guess this is a meme, I guess. What does a cop think they do? What does their mom think the cop does? Right? This is that same example of asking your network. Right? You don't have to do it on social media if you're too afraid. You can go reach out to a bunch of people. Urkel? I don't know. I should have known someone was going to ask about the picture. I should have inspected it a little bit more. I made sure there was no cuss words, and that's it. I was like, I know Superman, and I know Will Smith, right? We're changing our brands constantly. That's fine, but you have to make sure to tell the world about it. So the way, and the vernacular is really important. So the way that we speak to people is very, very important. I don't talk to my homeboys the same way I talk to my grandma, right? Actually, my grandma's dead, so I can't talk to her anymore, I guess. But you get my point. So how can you figure out what your customers are, or the people who you think your customers are, speak? How do you understand their vernacular? Well, when you're having a one-on-one meeting with them, you can start taking notes as to what they say, right? Maybe they're speaking, maybe they don't say the word comfort. Maybe they say something else, right? HVAC, is that, right? So maybe they don't use the word HVAC. Maybe they use something else. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that, but maybe they do. And so you start to realize, oh, I thought the words that we should be using are X, Y, Z, but it's actually A, B, C. And so you just take a mental note, or you get on a piece of paper and you start taking notes. This is what the people are saying. Record it. Pull out your phone. Press record. And just start understanding how people are talking. Right? This is all important because as you create the campaigns that Kevin was talking about, you want to speak in their language so that you're not back like in sync versus, I almost call them the Gilmore Girls, the Golden Girls, right? Imagine if you're speaking to your homeboys the same way that you would your grandma. There's something missing there probably, right? Maybe too extreme, but it happens all the time. Maybe in an environment like this, right, where someone asks a question, I take mental note and say, okay, I need to think about how that brand switch happens and use that in my talk. Oh, I used to be in event planning, now I'm moving to holistic wellness. How do I make that transition to let people know that? Take mental note, think about it, the questions that are being asked, right? It also could be that in your onboarding with your clients or talking with your prospects, you realize that they like very specific things, a very specific endeavor. Maybe they like roller coasters. So you go onto a roller coaster forum and you see the way that they talk there. You're literally digging deep into this information. So if you realize that someone's in marketing and they love roller coasters, go into the websites to see how they create copy. What type of things gets them engaged with. Right? If you look at a company locally called Where to Wheel, they go and they help people that own Jeeps find trails that are legal to drive on. So they go and they find a bunch of funny Jeep memes and they scroll other forums that have Jeep stuff and they put that stuff together on their own page so that they can tell that story because that's what Jeep owners are looking for. You're trying to present a campaign that speaks to a very specific subset of people, not the entire world. Or when someone's contacting you. If you're looking for an elite person and you don't want someone that's rugged, you could see the type of information that maybe someone's sending in on a contact us form. You might not be able to read this, but the person's name is Maczilla, the number is 911, and the form description, looking for a place, this is for like a new apartment, says, hey yo, I'm looking for a rad crib to throw amazing parties. Let me get this place. But you're a landlord, you probably don't want to call that person back, right? You can self-filter a lot of this stuff just by seeing the way that people are presenting themselves and speaking to themselves. But we just look at this as a contact form, right? What can we do that goes deeper into the language that people are readily providing us? And on phone calls, right? The way that people talk on a phone call, right? You and I talked on the ride over here. The way that we talk is very different than the way that Red Hawk and I might talk, right? I just know Kevin for a lot longer than I've known Red Hawk, right? And by the way, I call Elizabeth Red Hawk, because that's her brand. You're welcome.
He's a little inappropriate on me.
Not true. Not true. He was inappropriate.
You have no idea.
Hey, Mom. Thanks for watching. But again, a lot of this is about taking notes when people are communicating with us. So that, this is just a note file. This is actually all the delayed flights in Boston in the month of like December of 2005, 2015, something like that. But the point is that we are provided a ton of information all the time, and we don't do a good job of writing it down, figuring out what it says, analyzing it, so that when an opportunity comes up for us to put out a campaign, we have tons of information to talk about, right? So when you're having day-to-day conversations with people, when you're scrolling the internet, start pulling out some of this data that people are just absolutely telling you, and you can do a lot better with it. You can create more campaigns filtered towards a very specific subset of people. So you have 3 keywords that you have to be thinking about. When you go home today and you ask that question, and by the way, most of you won't do it because you're too afraid, and that's okay. In 6 months, we'll come back and I'll ask you that same question, right? But you want to know what the world thinks you do, right? Then you have to be able to figure out how to say that in 5 words or less, right? Most people are like, oh, my elevator pitch is 30 seconds. That's not long enough. Most people are changing their minds or going to sleep or changing the channel every 6 seconds, right? So think about when you get home and you're changing the remote to try and find something, every 6 seconds is the average, right? So you think you need 30 seconds to a minute to tell your little elevator pitch. You have a couple of seconds and that's it, and a couple of words. So make sure that you get it out. 3 words, 3 keywords, put into some sort of 5-word sentence, and you have 6 seconds to tell that story. Because if not, the person's going to sleep. Do you need a pillow? And that's it. I'll take questions.
Someone's got some questions. We got some questions.
Yes.
Okay, I've got all the left brain educational background, and I'm an intuitive. I work in 3 different fields, very different. Health and healing, personal excellence, spiritual growth, entrepreneurship, and business. So do I set up 3 different websites and use 3 different approaches, or is there a way to put them all under one?
Ask that question again. So what's left brain?
Okay, I've got a master's in international management. I was
Okay.
a lead consultant for the state of
Got it.
So I've got all that left brain stuff.
Okay, so that's like your expertise, telling people that you're credible.
However, my gift is the intuition where I can bottom line everything and
Okay.
just very quickly not even look at the left brain data, but go directly to the answer using my intuition.
Okay.
But I'm working in 3 very diverse fields,
Your clients are 3 different people?
totally different.
Okay. So I don't know that you need to create 3 different websites per se. It could be 3 different landing pages or 3 specific pages that are on one website that direct and speak to that very specific person's language.
3 different portals on the same.
Yeah, you could do 3 different websites that say, user 1, user 2, user 3, because they're all different. The challenge is it can be very difficult to get one of those to rank high. If you want all of them to rank high, that can be a difficult thing. But I do think it's important for you to speak very specific in their language than you just openly being like, oh, I can help you. If you can tell a story around one of those 3 subsets each time, I think that's definitely a lot more powerful.
3 elevator sentences.
Yeah. 3 specific elevator pitches or stories or whatever.
If you know nothing about that person you're talking to, you can pull from which one you listen.
Yeah, so if I'm giving this talk to a very specific group of people, this is a general marketing group, right? So I'm going to give a general marketing talk. If I'm talking to realtors, I'm going to give a very realtor-based talk. If I'm talking to students, I'm going to give a very student-based talk. If I'm talking to people with red beards, I'm going to talk to them with red beard specifics, right? And so the more specific you can be, that's great. But just make sure that you're not mixing those things on the same page.
So observation, not a question, but observation. So 20-some years in corporate, when I came out in business as an entrepreneur, I was talking in a term, because that's you learn to talk succinctly like you're talking to CEOs, and it wasn't relatable at all. So it's been painful for me to make the switch to talk in a relatable, push the bruise, how you doing, more casual tone. And it's tough sometimes
Yeah.
because when you talk in the wrong language to them, they get immediately turned off, like, what does she know about?
So if you call yourself a marketing expert, for example, right? You're in a marketing organization or like the American Marketing Association, they're probably all going to speak in that one specific vernacular. They're all going to speak in that one specific language. But then when they go to their customers, those customers are hiring them for that language that they know that they don't. And so you have to make sure that you can relate it to them, right? And so most people are sitting there going, well, I know what that means. How come they don't? So it's the dummies guides to a lot of things. And so you are, 20 years in the industry knowing that thing. Well, this other person that wants to hire you because you have that expertise doesn't understand that language. In a military town, think about all the acronyms that no one knows. You sit there and you go, LT420. You're like, well, I don't know what that means, right? And so you ask the person that when they're with their other military personnel, they know a lot of that language, but the civilian does not. And so you have to understand the scenario that you're in and speak in civilian terms or in military terms, depending on where you are, or relate that to the business that you're in. Or that person is going to sit there and be like, phew, and then they're going to change the channel, and then you lose. That's why understanding those 3 words in their language is just as important as you making sure that your 3 words are actually what they think.
Do you find that, like, as you're talking, I'm thinking, like, too, it's awesome to know a few things about yourself, but also what do you think about, like, defining personas of, like, people in your audience that, like, you kind of say, for that group of people, they have their sort of persona, too, so how can I speak to them in a way that's relevant? So maybe, like, breaking down your audience into different groups and then kind of, just like you're saying, talking to them individually.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to get a lot of answers no matter who you're talking to. And if you realize that percentage of people is big enough for you to communicate with, then you are going to directly talk to that group of people and say, hey, here's this language, right? And I think that's absolutely critical. Most people try to, in my opinion, most people try to have too many personas, which is basically a subset of demographics on a specific person that tells a story about that person. Most people try and have like 10 of those out of the gate, and none of them are really well defined, and they can't really talk to that person. I would start with 1, try and win that really, really well, and then maybe expand from there. But I totally agree that there are groups of people that can get very similar messages, and you just have to make sure that you talk to those people in a correct kind of way. Anyone else?
All right, Zach.